Jim Krenn. No restrictions on the current podcast network. We are back after our haunted house episode, which I'm so happy I didn't get possessed by a ghost or a devil. Sereny, who I made a believer out of after that episode. If you watch the ghost episode, you will see an astonished Sereny.
No, you won't.
When the ghost talks to us, and she is amazed. And afterwards, on the ride home, she said, "Jim, I now believe."
Oh, for
screamed! She
sake.
screamed at me, "I'm a believer."
Yeah.
And there you go. It was.
Sorry, that just didn't happen.
It did. It was scary. I was afraid.
It was scary because it was just a creepy situation to be in. That doesn't mean that there's ghosts.
There are ghosts, and it was scary.
It was a weird little piece of software that they had in their laptop, and I admit
it was not software.
Okay.
Jake, was it software?
That was a little iffy on. That was a
Where
little
did I get
Even
you to?
Bigfoot Jake.
Where did I get you to?
Listen,
Are you supposed to be yes
Listen.
people?
We went to
What kind of
college.
show is this?
I still believe in ghosts, but that software was a little weird. It was like from a 1980s Microsoft computer.
And
I don't know.
It
What
had
were
that
you gonna
weird
say?
reverb on it. It sounded like a crappy karaoke thing. It was creepy because it was a dark room. You were in it, and they said that there's ghosts in it.
It was creepy because you were in it, Jim.
That's the main reason. And then it was
That's where
just
she was going with that.
weird
I know.
echoey
She's friendly with
sounds, and I'm looking
Wait.
at it like
Well, you were saying you and Jake, you went what? You
to
said,
college. You
So
said,
did I.
where
I
did
got
you
a
find us? We have.
Well, I got a bachelor's science degree, so I believe. I'm telling you, I can't see these people have had a computer with like ghost voices on it.
That's exactly what it was. I'm sorry, Ghost.
Oh
Matt.
God!
I love you guys.
Let me get the ghost computer. Let me go buy that software.
I'm sure
You
that
show me where the software is. I'll buy it.
I seriously will. I'm sure that I could find it in like. I'm sure it's a free app.
Listen, it probably comes on a floppy disk.
Thank you. It was such a cool experience, though. I want to
I
do
hate
it
when
again.
you guys gang up on me.
I want to try to do it again. It was so much fun. It was exhilarating. It was exciting.
I say we do it again.
I would absolutely do it again, and I
'Cause then
love
we'll
those
prove
people.
that there is no software such. You're saying.
Oh my God.
All right.
Yeah, that's definitely more likely that there's
No,
no software that makes spooky noises, but
They were talking to me.
that there were ghosts talking to us.
I believe the EVP thing, the
Yeah, that
recorders.
was-
Wait, how
that
could you
was
believe
cool.
that? If you could believe that? No,
It is on Ghost Hunters. I've never seen Ghost Hunters use talk box thing.
Right there, you go. Then
so they have half of it's real, half's not.
Yeah.
you gotta
I
sell
definitely
it.
think the place was haunted. There were ghosts for sure.
Definitely not. It definitely wasn't
We'll
haunted.
see. That's where we disagree. I
Here-
still agree with you. It was haunted.
Here was like the magic moment for me. Okay, so when we walk out, and let me preface this by saying I love you, Ghosts, and that you guys are awesome. We walk out of the place, okay, and we start walking back to our cars, and like the 25-year-old kid gets into like a $400,000 Mercedes like sedan.
Okay, so
Scam artist.
oh wait, trust fund kid.
Maybe that's a good. See, that's
The Mercedes was used.
The Mercedes
There you
was
go.
used. I don't know. It was just the nicest car. I remember seeing it when we pulled up, and I was like, "Who has a Mercedes like that in Monessen, PA?"
Ghost people.
And there it is. People making hand over fist money on
Yes.
hunting ghosts.
Ghost hunters, man. That's big bucks.
I
man.
love you, Brett. Thank you for having us.
No, what
That-
else
that
is
was
big?
really
Say
cool.
that with
That
love.
was cool. You know what else? We want to do it again. You know what else is big bucks? Is stand-up comedy. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're doing a stand-up comedy episode for you. Since we're both stand-up comedians, we want to talk from different perspectives. Young female comedian on her way up, and me about to die,
On his way out.
95
On
years
his
old.
The
been
reason
out, been done for years. But
Jim has to sit while talking about stand up because he's
I
so
know.
old.
Jake
He
wheels
gets a
me
little
out
weight.
to do this, actually. And Sereny literally has to carry me out like in a Bjorn.
Uh-huh.
She carries me outside. Like
Yeah,
we
that's
go
why I'm
out.
getting so
That's
fit.
how I get air. I go outside in our Bjorn. So we're talking stand-up comedy. We got Sereny's been working with me open since we've been doing the show together. And so we've been doing stand-up together. She does stand-up. I think she's brilliantly funny. I joke around with her, but I just think she's really, really brilliant comedian. I think she's naturally funny. I saw her on the show called The Party Shows, which she developed about, I don't know, years ago. I was there maybe 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. I did the show. I can't remember. But she created this show by herself called The Party Show and did it from ground up. And I watched her, and I've been around comedy a long time. I saw her host. It's very difficult to host in front of a live audience and control the show because it's like having mass chaos, and somehow you have to create a calm while that mass chaos is going on and actually get laughs. So I saw her do that, and she had a certain edge and wit that reminded me of Johnny Carson. But those of you old enough to remember Johnny Carson, go on YouTube and look him up.
An old white man.
But but he said Carson had this certain wit and certain little edge to him. And it was like he was likable, but he had this weird little sarcasm to him, you know, and he'd get away with things that others couldn't get away with. And her interview skills were amazing. So I saw this talented young lady, and that's why she's on the show right now. I'm lucky to have her. But we do stand up now. She's been doing stand up, but you know, it's a difficult game. Stand up. It takes different levels of different amounts of years or hours put in for different people. For me, it took me. I made a living at it when I was young. Comedy clubs were booming. I've made a living my whole life, but I don't think I came into my own until 2-3 years ago. Believe it or not, it got to the point where I had to get old enough to not give a fuck, and then I got funny. I thought myself. My comedy came out then. I was doing comedy. I was always naturally funny. It carried me on its back because you can't make the money I make without carrying on. You got to be the real deal. My bank account says I'm a fucking comedian, but you have. But to get that yourself out, it takes a fear. There's a fear you have to overcome, and that's what I love about Sereny. I think she has that fearlessness to her, and
thanks, Jimmy.
I love that about you, and that's why I see the comedy in her. And she's naturally funny. It's funny because this woman can make me fall to the ground laughing like no one. Like I just dropped to my knees laughing. She kills me. So we just have to we're just working on getting that out. So you've been doing comedy. Tell me about the Party Show. How you developed the Party Show? We're telling everybody about it. From my perspective, tell me your perspective, Sereny. How did you do it? How did you develop it? What happened?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying all those kind words about me.
No, true.
The Party Show was, okay, to start it off, I had just entered one of the darkest times of my life. I was very depressed. Mm-hmm. And I needed something to distract me, take my mind off of it, a funnel, a channel, if you will, to put this traumatic thing that I had just gone through. And I was working in a video production studio that made workout videos. And I met someone there that knew how to shoot and edit video, and he did stand up, and he introduced me to some comedians. I had been in a band, so I knew a bunch of musicians, and I just had a really interesting, at that time, group of friends, just a network of people. And I was like, all these people are doing all these cool things. And it was like the kind of like the peak of, you know, YouTube had just really taken off. People were really starting to use YouTube as a way to make money and a way to put content out. And I was like, I got this big old house. And like, I built a set in my basement, and I wanted to make like a Saturday Night Live meets Wayne's World kind of show. I wanted to bring interesting people on. I always wanted to have a band, a comedian, and a sketch. And I was honored to have you on the show, I must say.
Thank you.
But it kind of turned into its own thing where the party, people came for the party, stayed for the show. And it turned into this, it didn't take off. I ran out of money, but it turned into a really fun project. Probably one of the most proud pieces of things that I've ever worked on.
You had a lot of rabid fans, and that's a testament to what we do as an entertainment. That's like when anyone out there, you know, watching or listening, when you come up to us and tell us you watch the show or the podcast or anything, it means so much.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It really does.
We had a gentleman came up to me. Sereny had to go to a birthday party we were at Steamworks, and he watches and listens every show, and I just was like honored, you know, to meet somebody to hear that, and he said he was a fan of yours, sir, and that's why we do this thing. So you did connect with people. That was cool. How did you know what I just said, the natural talent? Did you feel it?
I didn't. At all.
How did you know?
I felt like a fraud the whole time.
Really?
I didn't know. I actually still to this day don't have the confidence that you say that I have. I felt like a fraud the whole time.
It's a fearlessness and it's confidence. It took me 30 years to get confidence.
I don't feel like for me it's there yet. If you see it, it's an act.
It's within. It's within. It's a part where you just sit there and go, I don't give a fuck.
But
it's good. It's a good feeling.
I remember sitting at the desk. It was set up just like Jimmy Kimmel, like a desk,
right.
a couch, just like this.
Shows, Fallon, Kimmel, whatever.
I remember sitting at the desk watching people come into my basement door and going, what do they do? What a bunch of dummies. Why are they coming here? It's Saturday night. They could be anywhere. We're in Pittsburgh. The nightlife and the food scene is booming. Why are they here?
Every
and
comedian.
then they would howl and roll. The audience would be laughing. They loved it. And they would yuck it up for the camera. And I don't know if you guys have watched like the behind the scenes of that, but I mean, the party was always raging. It never stopped. It was just so much fun.
But every comedian's like that. I think every performer and singer, we all think we're imposters, believe it or not. We do. Most comedians, I don't know, maybe a handful came from normal backgrounds, but I come from dysfunction and proud of it. But we all have that fear. But I think that's what makes the comedian work and makes it funny is the fear. It's like I think I told this analogy once. It's like lions chasing a bunch of gazelle. And the ones that live are the ones who are most afraid because they run the fastest.
Yeah.
We're comedians. We're up there running fast, trying not to get eaten by the lion. And makes you your sharpest, best you can be in your wit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you feel like. That's where it has to carry on its back in a way. And that's why you could decide if you make a living by getting the laughs or having people. That's what means so much when you come up to us because that's confirming to us to keep going what we're doing. And so now you're doing a party show. Mm-hmm. You're a great host, great interview. This is instinctual then. This is nothing you trained for.
No.
It's just something you just did.
Yeah. And I was producing and shooting and scheduling the guests, and then I was doing the monologue. Once they said action, it turned into like,
you just
ta-da!
Did it.
Yeah.
And you did. Now as young...
5, 6, 7, 8. And then boom, the show. And then it was over so quickly. Yeah.
Was a young, female comedian. It's a different vibe from a male comedian. Influences in other words, even because, now there's many female comedians. It's changed. It really wasn't a lot only 15 years ago. You had maybe Ellen, Roseanne, Rosie O'Donnell. I'm talking 20 years ago, whatever. Now you got a million of them. But when you were little, when you were a kid or whatever, growing up, who was your influence?
Oh.
Who was the influence?
Ashamed to say this today, but Bill Cosby.
Well, we'll separate. You know what? Let's just go with the comedy aspect of it. Just like people like O.J. Simpson, the football player, with to separate their personal lives because Cosby was a genius comedian. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I remember being like a young kid and having the VHS and just rewinding it back over and over and watching Bill Cosby himself over and over and over again. And
what's a VHS? I'm too young.
Sure, yeah.
What, Jake? What is that? But anyway, what's she talking about? This older lady here.
So you watch it, and like my sisters were memorizing like Smash Mouth and Britney Spears songs and singing them into the toothbrush and the hairbrush, but I knew every word, back to front to back, of Bill Cosby himself.
That's pretty funny.
Richard
Little
Pryor.
girl. How old were you?
8, 9.
So you're 9 years old and you're memorizing Cosby.
Yep. And I remember like telling some of the jokes to my dad and his friends if they were over. My dad was a musician, so he had band practice a lot in the house, and I would just come out and start telling jokes, and I would pick up their cigarettes and pretend to smoke them. And
you're 9.
Yeah.
10.
And I would have my parents like cracking up. Yeah.
That's a good feeling, isn't it?
And that's the first time, probably the only time I've ever killed an audience.
That's euphoric, though, isn't it, when you get that laugh from a family? That's how I started, too, in family.
It's like what I imagine heroin is like.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
It is. It's a euphoric thing. You're right.
Yeah.
In front of your family.
And then you're addicted. You're like, I got to go get another crowd to laugh at me and love me and accept me.
I grew up really poor, and I had no idea how I was not going to be poor. Mm-hmm. And no one was before me in our generations. But I just didn't want to be. And I thought, there's got to be something. And I remember I was like 12 years old and did a Christmas party. I was get up and just did my aunts and uncles, just like you said, just goofing around. I remember just killing. Yeah. I remember getting home and like going, that's the one. That's the way. I knew it was. I just knew it. It's weird. I just knew it.
Yeah, that's how
I knew I was
do it.
naturally funny. I can make anyone laugh at any time. It's a power, like a superpower I felt. Or something. It was funny. I can't describe it. I won 17 talent shows after that.
Was it that, or was it that our parents were just so high and they were just laughing at
We
us
probably
'cause
got
we were acting
fortunate.
like idiots?
Probably got fortunate. They're so drunk. Family members were so drunk, and they launched a career. They gave us that little nudge of confidence we needed.
I'm thinking the latter, for me at least.
No, it's that little energy. But so you start doing stand up at what age? What age do you want to be Bill Cosby now?
Oh, well, what age do I want to be? Bill
No,
Cosby?
well, yeah, you get on stage.
Okay.
You're gonna get up on stage now and get,
Yeah,
know,
the first
Wilson
time-
Cuban or whatever.
The first
That
time
is.
I ever did stand-up comedy was at the Palace Theater in Greensburg. Not even an open mic.
You start big.
Well, it was like
The Palace Theater's like 2,000 seat theater people,
yeah,
something like that.
and
Beautiful theater.
you're not going to believe this. Guess who was in the dressing room that I shared the weekend before?
Cosby.
Bill Cosby.
Pretty cool.
Well, not now that I think about it. I'm like, isn't that where all the bad stuff?
Yeah,
happened?
well, like I said, we're trying to separate it, but still.
Right. Anyway, it was
A lot of
I was
people are at
I
that
was
dilemma.
a middle act for like a rap show. So they would like Pretty Ricky was in town.
Okay.
And the Dance Mom girls were there, right? And but I didn't know until like 10 minutes before I go on, and I am a nervous wreck. I mean, shaking, sweating. I was like, "Can somebody get me a drink, please? I'm so nervous." And they like the producers of the show come up and they're like, "Hey, you're a comedian, right?" I'm like, "I don't know." And they're like, "Well, the girls from Dance Moms are here. Can you like shout them out?" I'm like, "I don't even know what that means." I'm like, "Do you mean like
Wow.
make fun of them?"
Wow.
They're like, "No, they're children. Don't do that." And then I was like, "There's children in the audience?" I had all these like dick jokes and fart jokes. It was bad.
So your whole act has to be edited out.
Yep, I had to change my whole act like 4 minutes before going on stage. So I kind of just leaned on those like little girls and was just like, "Yeah, get your weird asses up here, just dance. You're dancers,
Did you
right?"
get laughs?
Yeah, I did actually, and it was a small, like it wasn't sold out. And
But that's what got you.
yep, and I brought the bands on.
That was
and
your first show?
first show ever. No, I had never even been to an open mic.
But see, that's where the natural ability comes, like I said. So it was something that you get into, you get addicted to it when it works like that.
Yep.
Like just from the first time.
Yeah.
Because you're like, wow, this is a little easier than I thought. Or whatever.
Oh,
It's
I
just-
don't know about that, but
well, afterwards it is. When you look back
Yeah.
at it, I guess, right?
baptism by fire, I think, was the only way for me to get into it. Because before that, it was like, I'll go to an open mic tomorrow. I got these jokes, but I'll just try them out on Twitter and see how they do. I'll go to open mic next week. And I would always make an excuse. But then it was like, all right, you're on. Change your whole act. And I get out there and I got laughs. I mean, I don't think I killed, but my first time at the Palace Theater.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It made you do it.
Made
And
me do it.
then you started doing what? You started going to open mics?
Then I
developing?
started going to open mics. Aaron Kleiber, who we had, I think, our very first episode,
Right.
was doing like a comedy class
Yes.
at Arcade Theater, which I
Uh-huh.
reluctantly took. He let me come and do the show for free, or the class for
Okay,
free.
cool.
I
And developed a little bit from there.
yeah, I think
Got
just
some
being
confidence.
around other
comedians.
comics and meeting other comics helped. I went to a couple open mics, and I have to be honest, like to this day, I don't like them. I hate them. They don't help me. And when I was doing it, it was just like boys club. Now there's a little more women in there, but when I started, it was all guys.
It's very difficult
Yeah.
for females.
And I think like my first couple years, I was, in my 20s, so I was drinking every time I go to open
Sure.
mic, I would just get wasted.
It's natural.
And it wasn't working for me. So yeah.
We were talking about this off the air, but I like to do open mics every once in a while. But the best way to do it, if you're out, you want to be a comedian, do them every 6 weeks. But it's just good to do 3-4 times a week in your home. Believe it or not, I spend 2 hours. I do my act, and then tape it, go back and listen to it, and then figure out what to do. Because if you're an open mic, there are only 6 or 8 people there. The rest are other comics. So you just have to learn how to get it out of yourself, and you want to memorize. So once you get it out where you're speaking, just like we're doing now, there's nobody in the room, but you're watching, of course, and we have to imagine that. There's Jake is here,
Yeah.
and if you've seen him, you'd cry. No, but I kid. But so we're imagining you here, and I'm trying to time the laughs with you here. It's the same thing. So if I'm sitting in front of no one, my dogs or whatever, Larry, and doing my act for an hour and tape it, listen back, you're getting it out. Now then you can go to open mic every 6 weeks or whatever and do get in front of an audience, but I think it's the way to go too.
Yeah.
It's one way to go.
I was very relieved to hear you say that because I felt, I mean, like I said, I still feel like a fraud, even calling myself a comedian, going out and doing shows with you, not hitting mics as frequently as I should be. But here, when I heard you say that today, I was very relieved.
Well, when I was a kid, I had an arrogance, and I was able to do impressions, and it's all I did was impressions. And I'm like 20 years old, 21, just getting out of college, and I won 17 talent shows in a row. So I thought I was Eddie Murphy.
Of course.
Because I won, and everywhere I went, people would be like, "He's amazing" or something like that. Whatever. I went to the Pittsburgh Comedy Club, beat out 50 people audition.
Yeah.
Arrogant enough to think I know I'm going to do this, and I did.
Yeah.
The arrogance got me, and I ran into a comedian. His name was Uncle Dirty.
Oh, Uncle Dirty.
He was
Got one of those.
He worked with Richard Pryor and George Carlin. He wrote with them, and he opened for the Grateful Dead. Now, I had been in the comedy club scene maybe for 2 years. Just started a co-headline. And I got the Tropicana Atlantic City, and that was a big gig. If you get the Tropicana, you got a lot of gigs. You're going to get New York was next. You're going to get a shot at Dangerfield's next. If you do well. It's like a boxer. You can't have 2 bad shows. You could have 1 bad show. The second show, you're sent home. You'll never work again in the business probably, because the word gets out. And the reason you're sent home is New York is a short drive away. They can get a guy from Catch a Rising Star, Dangerfield's, take over. Well, remember I was 22 at the time, 21, 22, and my act was impressions of Pee Wee Herman, people like that, whatever, who people just knew from Letterman. And, yeah, I know. So they knew, so it was all comedy club stuff. So it was Monday through Sunday at the Tropicana to perform. And the whole audience was 90. They bus people and they comp senior citizens on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So I said, "When's the real club coming?" They said, "You're not going to get anyone under 40 until Friday and Saturday, Thursday, maybe Friday and Saturday and Sunday." So you got 4 shows of seniors.
Yeah.
I went up and I died. I literally died.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I'm sitting back. My head was down because you only have one more show. And I was like, I know if I bomb tomorrow, I'm going home. And Uncle Dirty sits down. He's a big guy, heavy guy, had a joint.
Yeah.
And he lights his joint up. And I hit the joint backstage. And this guy, Jack Cohn, was the other guy. But he was a nice guy, but he didn't talk to me much. But Uncle Dirty goes, you had a tough night. I said, "Yes, I did." He goes, "You're going to go home tomorrow, aren't you?"
Oh, no.
I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Nah." He said, "Go up and make them like you." So what? He said, "Don't do your act for the first 5 minutes. Just make them like you." So I said,
Did impressions.
I said, "It's hard to do."
Mm-hmm.
So he also, this is the line I want to say it. This is what he told me. He says, "You're good." He said, "Good's the enemy of great." He said, "You're never going to be great being good. You're too afraid to be good, to be great. You want to be stuck with this good." Because I was getting laughs and I was making money, and now for 2 years, I didn't want to change. I was doing everything safe.
Yeah.
That's what he was trying to tell me. So next day I went up and I started talking about my grandmother. I used to take her to bingo on Wednesdays or whatever, and eating parks. I just tell them that story. That's all about my grandmother. And the next thing they're more, they're all her age.
Yeah.
And they just, in 5 minutes, is talking. And they like me. And once they like me, and I killed.
Nice.
But he told me good is the enemy of great. So you have to take out that, you have to go the extra little inch of fighting through your fear, I think, is what I learned. And not, because it's hard, because you could be good and get something going on, but it is the enemy of great, in a way. You got to break it all down, reinvent. It's breaking your shell and getting to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. I'm watching you break your shells, get to the next level.
Yeah.
And it's scary all the way.
Yeah. Scarier than Castle Blood, for sure.
Well, how do you develop? Tell me how you develop material. What's your style?
So I like to think of a premise. Usually send it to you. Lately, I've been sending stuff to you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Another comedian. It's good to bounce off comics. I send them to you too.
I really like to try one-liners out on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
and see. And I don't have a lot of Twitter followers,
But
so
just
if
to
I
see
get
a
a
vibe,
lot
that's
of likes
interesting.
or a couple retweets, then I know that I should try it out, either here on the podcast,
Right.
at open mic, or on a show. And I had one joke that I did that started on Twitter, went to open mic, did well there, took it to the show that we did a couple weekends ago, and it did well there. And that's been my process since the beginning. It's not perfect, but
It's interesting
yeah.
to use social media.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are doing that.
And a
lot of
I do it
people
on my fan page.
A lot of people don't like that comics are doing that, treating Twitter like an open mic. But Davon Magwood, a local guy, came out and said, like, that's what I've been doing for years. And, you know, he was the one that had jokes stolen from the fat Jewish guy. What's his name? I think it's just a fat Jew. Fat Jewish. And was on the Netflix documentary.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
He's fantastic. He's a very, very funny young guy. And he came out and said that in a bunch of comics. I remember at the time there was a huge like wake where everyone was like, fuck Davon. Why would you ever use Twitter as an open mic? But I was like, that's not a bad idea.
Well, it's not yet.
Because instead of the ha-ha-has, you're getting the hearts, hearts, hearts and the retweets. And I mean, that's kind of, you know, will it translate on stage? Maybe, maybe not. But in my experience, it has.
It usually does. And it's funny you mentioned because the last 2 years on my Facebook fan page, I do videos. I have a video series. And they get over 1 million views each year. Some get 100,000, some get 10,000, some get 5,000, whatever. Usually my niece Ella's on, I get 150,000, whatever. From traveling somewhere gets more, like LA or whatever. But I use it the same thing. I'll use concepts. I'll hold it up. I'll do the concept. It's all an angle. And but I always go back and based on the views.
Yeah.
If I got a lot of views and I get a lot of comments, okay, that angle is funny. I take the angle, just change it around a little bit and use it for stand-up. So basically, it's just using different vehicles for comedy. I don't know why anyone would get outraged at that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's just using vehicles to figure out.
What works and
it's
what
in a
doesn't.
public forum. Aren't you doing this for people?
Yeah.
So I don't know why it'd be a bad thing. It's just a writing tool.
Well, when I heard that information, I was so young and so new. I was just following the directions of the comedians that I admired, the ones that I was seeing at the open mics and the ones that were getting, you know, that were featuring for the big acts that would come in town. And I would follow their advice. But I remember, you know, they would say, well, don't do this. You have to go to open mic. You have to go to if you don't go to open mic, you're not a comedian.
Well, I think they're going to say that in a sense because that's how they could maybe say they're a comedian, which is fine.
Yeah.
Because I've done it. But you're really not a comedian unless you're getting people to pay to see you.
Yeah.
You're not a professional comedian.
Right.
Until you get someone to plop down money to see you.
Right.
Until you're making at least $5-6 grand a year, you're not a pro comedian. Because that means you have $400 or $500 a month doing stand up.
Dollar bills, y'all.
And it's just not. It's just the energy. Money's just energy. I'm just saying that. So if you're not, you're kind of you're a comedian. Not a professional comedian. And you know, so does the open stage make you a professional comedian? The answer, I think is no. It doesn't make you a professional
I think it works
comedian.
for some people.
Maybe it does.
I think for some people it does.
Repetitions. Yeah. Well, it's a gym. I think it works. We all need stage time.
Yeah.
You need. I said I didn't say don't do open stage.
No,
I said
no,
I'm just saying. Is it the only way? Just open stage. That's my point. So thanks for saying. I don't think it's the only way.
Yeah.
I think it's part. I think it's one of the gymnasium exercises. I think why wouldn't you use your tools of social media? Why wouldn't you use open mic? Why wouldn't you use going to parties talking about it or trip practicing? I do it in my room. That's my technique. Maybe it does. Maybe it won't work for someone else. But you know, I don't know why it wouldn't if you're practicing.
Yeah.
Being funny. If you're funny, you're funny. I took a year to do a Kevin Costner impression.
Yeah. Which is great, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I worked on it for a year, and you're in your room, and we're the weirdest job comedians, man. You were Don Quixote till you hit that windmill, man. Really, my mother still thinks I'm a drug dealer for crying out loud. She's like, "How do you make money? How are you getting a few $1,000s to do a show?" You know, I'm like, "Well, I don't know." She's like, "They pay $25 to see." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty." Oh, by the way, I'm at 19 North, coming up October 11th. The Lamp on the November 15th and December 13th at the Roxy. And just throwing that out there. But Sereny will be at a few of those shows also. A couple of those shows also working. But yeah, it's one of those things where the Costner thing, man, you wonder if it's going to work. And then when it does, it's like heroin or something.
Yeah. It's what I imagine heroin feels like. It's like, I need it. It's like chasing the dragon. You got to go get another hit.
And you're afraid when you're doing it, right? When you do. Do you remember working on a joke and then doing it and working?
Oh,
which
yes,
one?
yes.
Give me it.
Do I remember which joke?
It
was
made the euphoria feeling where you go,
I was talking about my butthole
Okay.
about being catcalled.
Buttholes are funny.
And some guy was catcalling me, and he said something like, "I want to build a house in your pussy. Let me see that butthole, girl." And I was
Build a house, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, something like
It's a
that.
visual.
And I did like an
House.
impression. And then
These are hopeless
things
Some people are hopeless romantics. But anyway.
Well, then I'd say like they ended the joke with like, "Well, now we're getting an apartment together."
Okay.
And it was like it turned into lunch. He turned into Lunch Money, the rapper, you know.
Oh,
and I
okay, the
developed this
character.
character, right? And yeah. So the first time that worked, I was like, okay, not only is this joke funny, this guy's funny, and I got to turn this guy into my boyfriend who stays for the ride. He's now we're getting an apartment together. Now I'm having his baby. Now he's got this like rap career, and he's quitting his job, and he's Lunch Money, and he needs money all the time. So like that's kind of how that joke turned into it. But that was my first big laugh, was Lunch.
And it's euphoric when you do it, because you think about it. You know, yeah, you thought about it from nothing. She comes from very humble beginnings.
Well, it didn't come from nothing. Somebody actually said that to me from a car once.
No, but I mean, when you come from humble beginnings, I'm saying we didn't really come from show business families. We didn't come from $1 million homes. We didn't come from trust fund kids. We weren't even middle class. I know you're kind of poor like me.
Yeah.
You're the same. You're similar in a lot of ways. It's an interesting thing when you think about it, isn't it? That I remember living in an alley, growing in an alley, and I just look back and think, all this stuff comes from you thinking. This is all in your mind.
Yeah.
So that's why it's kind of euphoric. It's a thought. You could probably, when you're a kid going through what you're going through, you probably never think you're going to make money from your thoughts, make people emotional from your thoughts.
No, never.
That's euphoria, I think. Huh?
Yeah, maybe. It's like, oh, they want to hear, they care. They want to hear more about me.
Right.
And my butthole.
And you're making them feel good.
Yeah.
It's about giving.
Yes. And I also relate that to how I felt watching comedy the first time I saw that, Bill Cosby or George Carlin, and I was like, how does he do that? How does he make me feel like that? I've never felt like that before. How can I do that to somebody else? It's like, to me, better than sex.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a connection.
Yeah.
It's an amazing connection. You're right. It's euphoric. I remember the bit was Costner's Gizmo, my dog, 20 years old, sitting on my lap pondering, because he has heart condition. I give him 7 pills a day, and
Jesus.
and he has to sit on my lap, and he's Kevin. He looks like Kevin Costner, and one of the pills is Viagra.
Oh no.
And it's him sitting there, and he goes into Costner, or he's Costner talking to me. You know, it's amazing. This whole thing about Viagra. You neutered me 20 years ago, and here you go. You give me Viagra. You're a sick son of a bitch in a lot of ways, and that's how the Costner happened. And I actually started doing the impression. It hit me
He's not
during the
gonna
eulogy of Whitney Houston. And it's weird how impressions are weird. You have to grab one little line from something. I don't know why that eulogy.
That's
it's
great.
weird. It's a weird little twist. But anyway, impressions. Yeah, impressions were a little bit of a crutch. Now, which is in a weird way because it protected me from doing my stories.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Not to interrupt, but it
please.
goes along with this. So you did radio for 100 years, and you don't get, when you're on the radio, that instant, that laugh right back. What was it like being a comedian and trying these things out? And like, you had your people in the studio, but how was it trying a joke out and not getting, and just crickets, nothing? How do you know?
It's funny, Sarah. If I may tell a story.
Of course.
I don't want to bore everybody.
Jim Krenn, that's what you do.
But it was 1987, and I had been headlining comedy clubs and working at Dangerfields in New York, and lived in Pittsburgh, but I was on the road a lot, so that's how it was. But I was ready to move to Los Angeles and be managed by these people in late 87. So
I wasn't even born yet.
No, you weren't even born. You're just a thought. And I turned 60 in a few, 90, I'm 95. No, but 95 years old. But anyway, so a few months before I go to LA, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh. I'm like, I don't know what it was, 26, I guess, whatever. So 27, 26, whatever. But so anyway, I ended up doing a guest spot on DVE. I had just been doing comedy though, stand up, making a living at it, a good living in headlining clubs all over the country. And I think I was doing 6 shows a week, getting paid. And I'd fly out on Monday. I'd be in a club. But I'd be in Club Wednesday at Fort Myers. I'd fly to Fort Myers. I'd be in Baltimore and do a week. I'd be in Detroit, and I'd be in Boston. I'd be in whatever, Philly, whatever, just week flying around. And you're on the road constantly. And it is combat. I mean, it's just, you get used to it. You get comfortable. It's just like any job. I was good at it because you get paid. You have to be good to get paid. And the radio, I go on, and it was like a set. It was relaxing. I mean, I love doing stand-up. When you're stand-up, man, you better be in the moment. You're getting 4 laughs a minute for an hour when you're headlining. You got to do 4 laughs a minute. That's a lot of. Think about making a person laugh 4 times every minute for an hour straight. So it's combat. The radio was different in a sense. It was totally different. So it was almost like I was conversing like now. It's like this. And it was like, wow, I liked it because it was just different. It was like I was theater to mine. And you and I are the same in the sense that you grew up also. I grew up Saturday Night Live, different era. But we both are Saturday Night Live junkies.
Never miss an episode. Never miss.
And I did not want to do radio. I was ready to go, and they offered me a silly amount of money, and I stayed. They convinced me. And I thought I was going to do it 6 months. Ended up being 25 years. But the idea that I had so much freedom, because the station was 17th in the market at the time. They weren't number 1 like now. They were 17th. And they were going to be flipped. They had lost the morning show 2 years earlier. They left, but so they're rebooting everything. So I had freedom to do anything I wanted, and no one was doing that at the time. The DJs were Rick Dees and different people going, Stern was in New York. No one knew who he was yet.
Wow.
His stuff was shock, though. So I knew from traveling around the country for years that no one was doing Saturday Night Live on the radio. So here I am, a guy who could do over 100 impressions. I'm thinking I'm a one-man band, Saturday Night Live. So I thought I could do write characters, I could do skits, I can do all these things. So I come up with these characters: Stanley P. Kachowski, Bobby Subgum, Ralph the Cat, Ben Klinks the Mulgard, Otis, whatever, all these weird characters, and they just take off. That was the euphoria. The euphoria is when people came up quoting lines, like slug lines, and as we know, being Saturday Night Live junkies. I was smart enough to think slug line. Every character had to have a slug line. Ben Klinks was freeze, punk, nobody move. Ralph the Cat was one you burn one. Stanley P. Kachowski was P was for whatever. So people would come back, and I knew that they remember. That's how they remember it.
Yeah. I've been with you when they come up and say that shit.
You're right. And until this day.
Yeah.
We're talking 25 years. So that's how much it affects. But that's what's so cool when you do come up and say that. That means a lot because it means it affected you. But anyway, that was what the difference was. Getting the feedback later from the people.
So it was like an investment.
It was an investment and a gamble, and it worked. When it works, it's the same euphoria when someone comes up to you and says, freeze, punk, nobody move, or whatever. It's funny when it's the wildest thing is people remember lines. They remember lines.
Yeah.
From a show, I just sex therapist on Laura Korn, and she was talking about we bleeped at the time, whatever. But somebody called and said, my wife likes to put a finger up my ass, and we had to bleep it, obviously. But I just hate it. And I just go, and I don't know why. I just said one line. People quote this line. I just go, I ain't no puppet, or something. That was the line.
Yeah. Jake likes it.
Yeah, till this day, people come up all the time. I love it. Jake will come and go, hey, Jimmy, what? I ain't no puppet. Isn't that funny? Like one line, one show. People remember that.
I like it. If you're talking about a finger.
I ain't no puppet.
I like it.
This guy was mad. He didn't want it.
Speaking of puppets.
Yes.
Aren't we going to roll a clip at the end of the episode?
We are going to do at the end of the show.
I love puppets.
Sereny is like I said, the thing I like about this young woman is the way she thinks comedically. She reminds me of a young me.
No.
Yeah, she's going to have a beard in a few years. Get a nice little beard, wear a white shirt. Stuff on her ear.
100
stuff on her ear. You have to dye your beard.
Blazers. Inspirational blazers.
You guys are killing me. Oh, man. But anyway, she wrote a skit when we did her show. That was one thing. Another thing, Sarah, that's why I was impressed with you. The way you wrote this skit, I thought the skit was funny. I mean, it's just, you're a kid. You're what, 25 at the time. You're a kid starting out, and you wrote this skit, and it's not easy to do is write a skit and pull it off. But I thought it was written very well, very funny, and it involves a puppet.
It was actually a real Sesame Street puppet.
It's a real Sesame Street puppet, and we're gonna play that skit, and you're gonna see. I'm a little heavier back then, and I gained weight just for the role. But
I'm a lot thinner back then. A lot.
Nah, you look great. But so anyway, we're gonna play that puppet skit for you from the party show.
Yeah.
For you. And actually, what we're gonna do, as I mentioned before, we're gonna do a party show.
A reboot?
Special episodes, maybe once or at least twice a year. We're gonna have Sereny do the party show, and we're gonna produce that. We're figuring out how to do that, so I want people to see that. See our host. It's really very nice. It's great. You're gonna do some great things, Sereny. Telling you right now. I'm riding your coattails, kid.
Oh boy.
That's right. So the career it was an amazing career on the radio. Sarah, I'll tell you a lot of interesting things. That took a detour of the stand up, but the stand up ended up. I was fortunate to keep doing stand up though.
Yeah.
I was working 80 hours a week.
That's the good thing about stand up. You can always do it. Like no
That's
matter
why
what.
I kept it going. It was like a trade.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 1,000-seat rooms and whatever, all these crazy numbers, and it's great. But I couldn't write like I did now. I'm glad. 25 years was perfect. It was enough to end it. Mm-hmm. They ended it for me, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah. In
a weird way, because it changed. I had to reinvent, and that's the thing. Man, you got to break the shell and reinvent again. It's scary, but I never thought I'd be great in greeting cards and stuff and making chocolate stuff. But doing stand up again like this, but it's kind of cool.
Isn't it?
Great young people, but yeah, it's really interesting. Really interesting.
I remember not like that the party show was anything like being on the radio for 25 years, but I remember when it ended, I was devastated. Mm-hmm. I didn't want it to end.
Right.
And then I remember
the way it ended bad, like for you too.
Not
we don't
great.
have to go into detail, but
Yeah, but somebody like
takes
a
it from
few years, later tried to rip it off and do it again without me. It feels
take your creation and watch it, and hey, my thumbprints all over it.
Yeah,
that morning show.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great, but it's the proudest I think of anything I've ever done. I'm more proud of the party show of any project I've ever worked on.
And that's the best way to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I look back at my years as proud of it. It's part of you, part of me.
Yeah,
I think it's part of you.
Yeah,
to do that, no one could take that away. Those moments away. No one could take the talent away. You know what though? It was time to break the shell again.
Yeah. That's
really what it is. It's like, I think it's like in every career, every business, if you talk to anybody out there, like whatever your job is, I don't care if it's an accountant or whatever it is, if you don't break your shell, and it's scary when you break your shell because that's your protection, you will not grow to the next level. Mm-hmm. You'll just stay in that same shell. And no matter what it is, it could be everything from relationships, friendships to work. You got to break the shell. Yep. And it's a scary moment till that next shell grows over. Trust me, it wasn't easy. Mm-mm. It's not easy on anybody.
No, especially I had to pay for my show out of my pocket. Mm-hmm. Nobody else paid for it.
Right,
produce
funding.
it, write it, schedule it, everything, shoot it, cut it, get it up there. It was all me.
Yeah,
yep.
and there's a certain demand on producing constantly, and so we're gonna try and do more skits on this show. Actually, we're gonna bring back some skits.
I would love that.
Yeah, so we're Saturday Night Live people, so we figured, Jake was saying, hey, do some more skits, right, Jake? Yeah. Jake's good like that. You give him a few beers, he suggests good suggestions. He's so creative when he's drunk. It's amazing. Matter of fact, we're going to have him do the show drunk. Produce it. So,
After he turns 21.
Blurry cameras.
When he turns 21. Jake is 12.
Mm-hmm. So we got
he's the Doogie Howser. He's my son.
Well, in this sketch,
I adopted him.
In this sketch, Jim actually plays my dad. So.
I do. I play her dad. And she's with a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't no puppet.
We don't want to give it away.
No
I ain't no puppet, people. I ain't no puppet. What was your worst show you ever had?
Oh my God! So I think because I was a young woman and I had big boobs, I was getting gigs that I shouldn't have had. before I was ready. So I was getting like
I know the
corporate-
feeling.
Yeah,
I used to
sure.
get gigs because I was so good looking.
Yeah, I don't think it was
Just
because I was
always
good
happened.
looking. I think it was because I was just available. And I was doing, it was in Freeport, Pennsylvania, so up 28. It was during a massive blizzard, and it was a corporate offices Christmas party. And I was following Chris Kemp, who's like just this doll, this older woman who does dick jokes, and she's hysterical. She's impossible act to follow. And I wasn't ready for a corporate, and they didn't want us there. That's always the thing. Like, they weren't expecting comedy. They just wanted to have their nice buffet, listen to some music, maybe like a musician or a magician would have been nice for them. But 3 comedians, they were not prepared for it. And they didn't want us there. So I went up and I was trying, and I tried out a bunch of new stuff. I was trying out this like
You're working out on a corporate.
yeah. And this is what I mean. Like, I wasn't ready. I had just started, and I was just getting gigs because on my looks alone, and it was, you could tell. And thank you. It was like the most money I think I ever made doing comedy. I got like a hot meal. I got a ride up there. I got a
Are you
ride
working
home.
soup kitchens?
Yes, it
Hot
was
meal.
awesome. It's like
She's working all the soup kitchens.
unheard of in my first year. And I was like, I had just been dumped by this douchebag that worked at Whole Foods. So I was like talking about that. And it was more of like a therapy session. And
Comedy is there.
I'm gonna give Jake a picture of me bombing. It's the only picture I have of me bombing.
You have it? Okay,
Yeah, I
let's see
have the
that.
photo, and you can see me like kind of choke, like actually choking, where I'm like, oh God, it hurts so bad. And I've never had a set where it was just, I got nothing, not a chuckle, I think like somebody choked on their potato salad in the middle of my set, and I was like, is that a laugh? And that was it. That's all I got. So I quit in the mid set. I finished the Whole Foods joke, and I was like, well, I'm gonna bring back up Chris Kemp. And they were like, yeah. it was
It's the worst.
I still think about it all the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
I still think about it all the time.
Nightmares.
Yeah.
Of bombing shows. I
Mhm.
had a show where I was attacked by a little person once. I was bombing a little guy.
No
Came up and
way. Attacked you?
I was at this place and
He told the little people tiger joke. That's why.
Oh, you monster.
That's why I always back little people. But this LP, 3 feet tall. I'm at this bar. This comedian opens for me. I can't believe I'm headlining. This must be my 3rd show I've ever done. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
I'm at it's a biker bar.
Oh, wow. Bad.
No glasses, plastic. Because
Oh, 'cause
they
you-
would throw it or
and-
something or
and
whatever. I
cut
have
each
no
other.
idea.
Yeah,
They,
they'll break-
British fights.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So imagine a biker bar, and I am up on a crate, like kind of made little crate stage with these French fry lights in my face,
You're back.
like there. And it's like just right in my face. And the magician bombs, and I get up and I'm bombing 10 minutes in, just like you just said.
Yeah.
My throat is burning. It's
it hurts.
dry. I want to curl up into a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, this little person, I was going to say midget, but
Nope. Can't. Nope.
I won't
Bleep
say
that one out.
I will leave that out.
This LP.
LP.
You must have called him the M word.
No, I didn't. By the way, people always say midget's the N word. It's not.
It's not.
Because guess what?
Midgets
We
were
don't
not
say
enslaved.
we say the N word. We don't say midget.
Right.
But anyway, just throwing it out there. They
And midgets were not
and
enslaved.
guess what? They still have midget wrestling. It's still out there.
LP.
They're called the Midget Avengers or something.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
And I don't know. But anyway, LPs. We're LP here. We're
So
LP
we're gonna
friendly.
have so many bleeps in this episode.
No, we gotta say it. I watch all the LP shows.
I'm sure they
I
don't
love
appreciate
little
that.
people. Why? I support them. I support those little families. But they're so maybe this is. I'm still bitter, maybe. But anyway, so this little person, 3 feet tall biker, with his little sleeveless arms, worked out.
Yeah.
Nice biceps. And he comes up in his little outfit on, little biker outfit on, which was really cool. Look, how do you buy a little biker outfit?
I'm sure it was made for like a dog or something.
It must have been, huh?
Yeah. Got it for like a pit bull
No
or
wonder he's
something.
bitter.
I've seen those outfits
Yes,
at Petco.
he was wearing. God I feel bad now for him. He's wearing a pit bull, a little outfit.
Like a Halloween costume. For
It
a
was
dog.
yeah.
I've seen those.
He had like a little biker outfit on, and unless he made his own clothes. But anyway, he had his little cut off biker outfit on, and he had blonde hair and it was combed to the side. And I didn't have a heckling. And I'm not kidding. I couldn't see anything. That's all I heard was, "You suck." Like I swear, like that. I'm like, what the fuck? You suck. And here he's an alcoholic that got drunk there and started fights. They found out later. But anyway, he comes up and he just runs up toward the stage. And now he's underneath the lights. I'm like, holy mackerel. This little guy, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
With sleeves cut off,
Mm-hmm.
big biceps,
Yeah. Plastic cup.
little fucking fucker could attack me and kill me.
Solo cup.
Yeah, blonde hair, come to the whips to the side, that kind of look weird.
Yeah.
And I look at him and I go, I had no heckling line.
Mm-hmm.
It's just starting. I said, does anyone ever tell you look like Barney Rowe? Because he looks just like Barney Rowe. From the
Oh,
Simpsons.
the cartoon.
I just said it,
Yeah.
and the crowd laughed, erupted.
Yeah.
He got pissed and stormed me. Came right at me. Right-handed God. I'm not kidding. I can't believe this worked. It's like in a cartoon. I stuck my arm out like a stick, and it hit his forehead. His little arms. Yes, his little arms were missing me. And the bouncers come by and swept him out and took him out. And then after the show, a magician comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, bartender said there's somebody outside waiting to kick your ass." And I said, "Is it the mid?"
What a great
I
club.
said, "Is it the little person?" I said, "Is that the M word?" And he goes, "Hold on." He goes outside and he goes, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So well, I'm going to wait him out. So I waited out like 4 hours and he didn't.
4 hours.
I waited
you
till 2
hid from
a.m.
a little person.
Oh, yeah.
You should be ashamed of
Are
yourself.
you kidding me? He had arms like huge arms.
The arms that couldn't even reach you.
What if he's in the backseat of my car and jumps? So I pictured.
How
Can
is
you watch Chucky?
Of course.
Like,
I
well, there
watched
you
Chucky.
go. He's looked like a little Chucky, this guy. But anyway, that was my worst.
That was. I wouldn't call that a bomb though. I mean, you got bum
I
rushed.
bombed for 12 minutes.
That's just funny.
I just bombed.
is a
The only
funny
laugh I
story.
got was the Barney. No, that was bombing. That was bad. Well, funny was watching people bomb is exciting.
Oh yes, I do enjoy that.
And my all time is Rummy Bishop, and it was a club downtown. And Rummy was about 85 pounds, soaking wet, and he had these big glasses, window glasses, like little bit hair slicked back like this. His tux that didn't fit, and like I said, big bow tie,
Yeah.
big glasses like this. And he would go on. This guy Ronnie was the MC. He had the tux and the whole thing. He's like a kind of a mob-looking great guy. And we were in the back of the club, and me and Jimmy Miller and Dennis Miller and Billy Elmer were all in the back, and we waited for this to happen. It has happened almost every time. We just waited for it. We couldn't wait. Rummy would get on stage, true story, and he would get pissed because I guess he worked the Catskills or Poconos. He always had this big, long resume, like he's a big comedian. We're like, and we just couldn't wait. Jimmy Miller and I, we could not breathe. We could not breathe. We laughed so hard. But we would sit there, and there's this little club downtown. It was in the basement, and the guy would say, "Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Rummy," and Rummy would come up. Rummy was in some movies or something too, some like horror movies, like Frankenstein
Oh, we gotta
or
find
something.
that footage.
Like Frankenstein or
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, he gets up on stage and like he'd get pissed like if somebody would be in the front row. Like they're eating, it's a dinner club. Yeah. And you hear somebody going like, "Hey, would you pass the salt or something?" And now he's bombing.
Yeah.
He's not getting any laughs. The jokes are outdated, like from the 40s or so. I don't know where the hell he got these.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But anyway, he's up on stage and goes, and he'd be in the middle of his line after bombing, not getting, and it was amazing watching someone who could bomb,
Yeah.
but not know it, like just kind of
Oh,
had such confidence.
Those people are psychopaths.
I loved it. I
Yeah,
was like,
they're my
God,
favorite.
how do you do that?
They're so unaware.
It's great.
It is great.
I wish I had that.
I wish I had it.
I'm
too.
jealous.
I know.
So he's jealous. He's walking around like you think he's ripping the room up, and we're back there waiting, but we're waiting. And he's up, and he goes, and all of a sudden you'll hear it loud enough because no laughs. You pass the salt, and you'll hear what? What did you say? What? And the guy goes, pass the salt. Pass the salt. Is that what you said? And he'd say this line this was his breakdown line. He had a breakdown line. I swear to God. I'm not making any of this up. He'd look at the crowd and he'd say this line. It was so guttural. This is what made me laugh. Jimmy and I laughed so much. It was just so guttural. It just came from his soul. It was from his soul. And he'd just say it like, I'm not kidding. It was like his whole heart and soul.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, what am I? A piece of shit. Is that what I am? You bunch of cocksuckers. He would call the crowd that. And
They love it when you do that.
I know. And I would just cry. and the crowd was like horrified.
Yeah.
He'd be, what? I pissed on people like you, and the cats goes, just go off. I pissed on people like you, and just so angry at the crowd. And the MC would come up and he'd hug him. His face would be a little buried in the,
And he was allowed to come back to the club?
all the time.
What the hell?
Couldn't wait to see him.
Who's the booker there?
I didn't care. I couldn't wait to see him. Anytime he was there, I was there. We would get up. And we were like young. I don't know. We got up and do a few minutes. Dennis Miller was advanced. He was like
I'm gonna go see this
amazing.
maniac.
But I was just a kid. I had like 3 minutes of material, whatever. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to see Rummy, man. What am I? Piece of shit. Bunch of cocksuckers. I pissed on people like you. And you get all it's emotional. But anyway,
I saw. I
love to do that once on stage.
just have a total meltment.
Just say, when you're having
Yeah.
a bad night.
Yeah.
What am I? A piece
Call
of
the
shit.
audience cocksuckers.
Don't you appreciate me? When we like say it in real life anywhere, someone knows
All
to
the
appreciate you.
time.
What am I? A piece of shit, you cocksucker.
Pass the salt.
Yeah, everybody. What? Pass the salt. What am I? What am I? You're eating on my ass. What's the supper come from? Sorry.
There was a guy I was doing a show like in West Virginia that would like obviously shoot up heroin before he came out on stage.
Always a relaxant before a show.
And and he would start nodding out into the microphone during his set. Like
That's
that.
not good.
But then he'd go right back into the joke every single time. Like he did not miss a beat. And he always seemed to come up during the punchline, which made me wonder, is this the most brilliant comedian ever? Or is this guy really a junkie? Like it, because
Well,
it was so fun. I mean,
but
it
it worked.
killed. It worked.
And
worked.
it killed.
Yeah, he would just be going on about it.
I guess it was like an act that you like.
Like fall into the microphone like this and then come back up into a punchline and the crowd would just erupt.
Because it was so, you know what? It's original.
I've never seen anything
It's
like
totally
it.
breaking the
Yeah.
shell.
Oh, it killed me. I was like, you couldn't track him down after the show. He'd take off. Can't remember his name.
Could he
So
do
good.
it consistently?
I only saw him that one time.
That's probably the trick.
Yeah.
Remind there was there's a place called Graffiti.
I know it. My dad used to perform there.
Yeah, and I would say you were too young to go there, I'm sure. But
I have pictures of him.
they had an open stage there,
Mm-hmm.
and if we can get Billy Elmer on the show, we got to talk. You will literally cry at Billy Elmer. He was a comedian. He is a comedian.
Yeah.
He's brilliant, and he's amazing guy. But he knew this guy, and he somehow, I don't know how he knew this guy, but there was a guy who was legitimately in Western Psych.
Oh.
And his handler, his name was, I
Elmer
remember his first name
Handler.
was Jimmy. And they'd bring Jimmy, wasn't me though. I was the other Jimmy.
A lot of Jimmy
A lot of
comedians in
Jimmy
the 90s.
comedians. But Jimmy was in Western Psych committed for we don't know what. But he literally they'd bring him in.
Yeah.
And he would get up and just go off on stuff that made no sense. And he had I'm not kidding, he had like a hospital gown on.
Cool.
Yes. He had a hospital
Are
gown.
we sure it wasn't a shtick?
No, it was not.
How do you know?
Oh, I talked to him and I saw the nurse. I talked to them. It was legit.
They were like, this is part of his treatment.
It was yes. It was part of his like therapy, they said.
Oh, no shit.
Uh-huh. And that's what made it wild because he didn't kill all the time. Sometimes it was just too nonsense. It made no sense.
Yeah.
But sometimes, and he would just get up. He had his hair sticking all these glasses, and he'd talk like this and scream. And I am telling you, and he made it just made no sense. It'd be like one-liners that made no sense.
Yeah.
And sometimes the crowd would just look, and then he just, I've never seen a room be ripped up like this. I mean, people literally crying and just laughing because he was just so out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes he just bomb.
Yeah.
But he was there, not every week, but I'd say every other one he was there, and I couldn't wait to watch him. It was brilliant to watch somebody do that. And as a kid, you're like, what is that? What? But as an adult, I'm looking back and thinking, once again, there's something about tapping into that fearlessness in you. Now think about it. He's in Western. It's like this is part of his therapy.
Yeah.
He has no fear. He has no fear.
No inhibitions.
No inhibitions. It all comes down to letting it out.
Yeah.
So his comedy, whatever he was fighting through, his mental illness, that was part of his therapy. But his comedy was coming through because there was no shell.
Nothing holding him back, yeah.
Nothing holding him back. That's kind of interesting, huh?
Very interesting. And if he was still doing comedy today, I bet he'd be a huge act to see. I would pay to go see the guy they just let out of Western Psych
I never.
It's
I for years he didn't get out, so I don't know if he ever did.
He's still in there. He should open up a mic at Western Psych.
I asked.
Western Psych open mic Thursday nights.
I asked a couple
99 cent wings.
I asked 99 cent wings. I asked Billy last time I saw him if you ever seen him. No, you never saw him. 'Cause I remember that. I just remember that. It's not something you see every day as a kid. And I remember how brilliant though it was to watch. Because remember, this is like when Letterman had those weird acts on. This guy was actually brilliant, more brilliant than these acts. He could have been on Letterman, but he wasn't consistent. That was the only thing. He couldn't do it all the time.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe his meds were kicking. I have no idea what he had. God bless him.
That would be the best comedy lineup. Rummy Bishop, heroin guy from West Virginia,
and Jimmy,
and Jimmy the crazy
Jimmy the man. Yeah, Jimmy
Western
Western Psych. I think exactly. That's just it. You know why? Original. It's all about original.
All of them are dead, I'm
it's
sure.
It's totally original. Yeah, totally. It's about being totally original. It's about getting the fear out.
But not sustainable.
Yeah, that's the only problem. That's the only problem.
I think you can.
It's tough to formulate that into something.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back to it, I agree with you, Cosby. Horrible person, obviously. Everyone does, obviously. But his storytelling was amazing.
Oh my gosh!
And that is the greatest. I think to me, that's the greatest comedy.
Yeah, storytelling. I love it
because we can relate. Yeah, that's why you felt good.
Yes. Yeah, and I remember him talking about his kids and just.
Yeah. He
reminded me of my dad, just angry at us all the time.
Yes. It was imperfect.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the things about radio with me was I didn't see back then. It was like you had a certain image. The radio people had a certain image. And it was like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like you almost had flawless, almost like TV anchors.
Yeah.
Radio people were like that too.
Yeah.
And I was imperfect on the air. I didn't speak with radio voice. I didn't really have that, I didn't have that, DJ at that time. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. And I was coming from the comedy club world. And I remember doing something, I can't remember what it was, really stupid. As you know, I am prone to still do something stupid. And so I remember they were getting on me. The other jocks that were in the room. Like, wow, this is rough. But I remember the phones lighting up, and then everyone was backing. They were, so I started calling myself the king of imperfection. In other words, people want to see imperfect. That's what kind of you're saying with Cosby. It was real. They want to see imperfect.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we're all imperfect, and that's our fear. We have a fear. We want to be perfect.
Yeah. Everybody's
trying to be perfect, but we're all imperfect. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So we try to hide it.
Comedians
have to bring it out and say it's. The job of a comedian is to say it's okay to be imperfect.
Yeah, and you're allowed to laugh at yourself.
It's not the end of the world.
You can laugh at me, so you can laugh at yourself.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
to laugh at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
We think it's not. It's okay to embarrass yourself.
Yeah, it's actually because sometimes it's kind of therapeutic to do it too.
You know why? Because you realize people have lives. Nobody really gives a shit. Nobody think they do. There's gonna be some people around you maybe getting under your skin trying to. For whatever their reasons are, but people don't really give a shit.
Nobody gives a shit.
They move on. They'll forget in 3-4 days, no matter what you do to embarrass yourself.
Yeah, but people like us, we don't forgive ourselves. We never forget.
No, but that's why we have to turn into material.
That time you bombed in January 13th on 2015 during the blizzard, you had that stupid R2D2 shirt on, you idiot.
After I bomb, I can't sleep for a week.
Oh my gosh, never. Yeah.
No, I can't sleep. I really can't sleep. It's here. It's like, painful.
Yeah.
It's painful to bomb.
I know.
Do you do comedy at all to be famous?
No. I don't do it for money either. If I had to choose one, fame or money, I would choose money. But no,
you do it for money because money is energy. That's why I say quality.
Yeah. But no.
I always walked out of before they did direct deposit. I'd walk out. I used to walk out of comedy clubs and I walk out of DVE without picking up my check. I'd forget it all the time.
Really?
All the time.
Damn.
And I always remember that.
Where are they now? Where are those checks now?
Oh, I go back and get those fucking checks. But I was getting paid a lot too. So, but I was saying that's just it. It didn't matter. No matter how much money I was making. Mm-hmm. It was ridiculous money. But I always reminded me, yeah, that's why I do this. Mm-hmm. I remind me. You forget the checks, but so it's not for fame.
Not at all. In fact, I think fame would be a huge inconvenience to me.
It's part of it. It's you have to it's how you view it. Everything in the world is how you view. And so you view it as a thank you from the audience, but you're with me sometimes. So, it could be different.
Yeah, it's definitely for you. I've never
You're
been
with me around.
famous.
We're buddies. We're friends at
Yeah.
restaurants and whatever. It's nice. So, and for the most part.
Yeah,
But it's,
I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like it.
it's not a natural thing.
Mhm.
To have, people
Come up and
strangers
bother.
know you. But it's kind of cool though in a way to have that bond.
Mhm.
But you have to be on a little
Yeah.
bit because you don't want to disappoint. You don't want to hurt anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's the interesting thing. But no, I agree with you. But I never got into it
To be famous.
to be famous. I get into to get laughs.
Yeah.
And I get
Laughs.
into work to keep working.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get to the point where I could choose where I work and when I work. That
Definitely.
was the goal. The goal is, people say about making it.
Mm-hmm.
Say making it to me as an entertainer, whether you're a singer, comedian, actor, you made it if you can make a living at it.
Mm-hmm.
The rest is gravy or whatever. Fame, you can use that fame to keep going maybe, I don't know, but it's not really the most natural thing.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to buy you happiness, obviously, because how many people go off the deep end of famous, right? You sit there and go, oh my God, they had everything.
Most
they had
of
fame,
them.
money, and everything. They're just, what they
Yeah, I would say more people than.
mostly.
Yeah,
Anthony
most of them.
Bourdain to Elvis to whatever to
Yeah, they don't know what
whoever.
to do with it. They don't know how to handle it. That's a lifestyle that's not for a lot of people.
for anybody.
And I
really.
know-
It's so unnatural.
Yeah, I know that it's not for me. I've never been famous. I don't ever want to be famous.
You could be, you could be,
Mhm.
but I think it's and I'm only famous small within
Yeah.
my mother circle.
Yeah.
Lou.
Yeah.
I'm famous for Lou. You go to Lou's apartment.
Jim Krenn
There's
shrine.
candles. There's candles with my picture. You think I'm a saint? But now there's a couple now Sereny with candles. She's starting
Yeah.
to replace. She thinks she's funny.
She does
But
like me.
it's a thing where it's kind of I do like it. It could be an aphrodisiac a little bit.
Mhm.
It can distort you a little bit. You have to have good people around. See, the people that don't handle it, they don't have good people around them, and their egos. You just got to remind yourself not to believe your press clippings, that
Yeah.
you're not special.
Mhm.
You're not special, and you have to have really good friends that can tolerate you. Like my young friend here, I'm just saying because you could really be spoiled a little bit
Yeah.
when you're famous.
You need people like
Have
me
some
to bring
fame.
you back down to earth.
Yeah, you need somebody, that say, hey, you're an asshole or whatever. And I got enough of those people around me that care
Yeah.
in a genuine way. They got some good people. But those people probably didn't have that. I don't know. But at a national level, you can't escape it. Regional, I can escape it. I can go out of town and escape a little bit. But still, you're an entertainer. It's what you do. That's kind of a double-edged sword. You're being an entertainer. You need fame to make money,
Mm-hmm.
get an audience, but at the same time,
Got to deal with them in public.
you control it. Yeah, well, you control it. You enjoy it. Try to channel it to enjoy it. But it's so you don't. Yeah, but you've seen a lot of comedians
Yeah.
open stage that want fame.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they want.
Yeah, definitely. And that's fair. That's something to crave and aspire.
I don't know.
Not for me.
I mean, even for them, I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good thing. I think we had dead end.
I think it could be, but
Most of them aren't. Most of the people that's going after that really can never really develop. Anybody who's ever just gone after that, I could tell they'll never. They're in the comedy world anyway.
mm-hmm.
The furthest they've ever gotten at those people I've seen can only do, I call it impression of a comedian.
Like a parrot, kind of.
Sort of.
Yeah.
They're good.
Mm-hmm.
They're just doing comedians, and they're basically doing what they see as a comedian,
Mm-hmm.
and they can get laughs on that, but they can't go any further.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. We're getting further
To walk.
to go beyond,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the fight. That's the aphrodisiac part. Where you get a little bit of fame and acceptance. That's like a drug.
Yeah.
So now you got to break that shell to give that up a little bit
Mm-hmm.
to get to the next level. That's the hard part. That becomes hard,
Yeah.
as you keep progressing. Because you know that you're gone beyond. Now you're keep going to new levels. So now you got to break, the shell.
We'll see.
That's the unknown. That's the beauty of this whole thing, right?
We'll see. It's can't tell the future. I just know. Got to keep trying.
I think that's what people like comedians. You just. Were you bored, Jake? Jake's like, give us the wind up.
Yeah.
Jake's like, I'm tired.
Yeah, we're running long here.
We're Joe Rogan. We're going to go 9 hours.
We're Joe Rogan.
We're doing 6 hours.
I'm Joe and he's Rogan.
We're doing Joe Rogan. Yeah, we're but
It's all you, Sereny, yeah.
So
Yeah, let's play Milk the
I know
Cow.
you said you were busy on Sunday, but I really want you to come to a car show. There's going to be a really good band
Yeah,
there.
it's a band. It is good for you.
Started-
That's nice. Let's do a house party right here. How about this house? Oh, yeah. Sereny, yeah. Come right. Oh.
What in the world of Donald Sterling is going on here? Say, man, hey, I don't do threesome. I can't believe this, Ty. I'm outside there, all right? I'm just enjoying myself watching Pawn Stars, and you and Sereny are making one of them Kim Kardashian movies.
Yeah, well, you better say Kim, or I'd knife you right here if you say Chloe.
I ain't no puppet, okay? Know what you want? You ain't nothing but a dirty sock.
What you call me?
But where are you going? Come back here, you mother.
You want to go?
Touch my weed! Don't touch my weed! You keep your velvety paws off of my daughter! Ah!
Pittsburgh Current is proud to announce the return of Pulitzer Prize finalist Rob Rogers' iconic cartoon, Brood on Grant. You can catch Rob's take on local and national issues in every issue of the Pittsburgh Current. Jim Krenn, No Restrictions with Sereny. We are back. How about Rob Rogers? Love Rob Rogers. Rob is also a partner with Larry Richard and Dick Roberts. We have the Yinzer Media. We're doing Yinzer cards, which are available in Giant Eagle. And as of now, in some, we have a Yinzer chocolate, Immaculate Confection chocolate bars, which are in Giant Eagle, Hallmark stores, Heinz History Center, and soon to be in other places that we're going to announce pretty soon. But as of this airing, we should be in most of those stores. By the end of October, we'll be in all of those stores.
Wow.
Rob Rogers is the guy who does all the illustration. I do the writing.
It's called a cartoonist.
And he's our cartoonist. He's our guy. And he does all the little cartoons. Yeah, he's genius. On the cards, we have a few new cards coming out for Christmas coming out also. But the next step is going to be with the wonderful people of Saris Chocolate, Cannonsburg, legendary, incredible chocolate, doing our chocolate bars and be launching. So that's kind of cool. So thank you for watching our comedy show. Sereny, you have a show coming up. Where's it?
I have officially joined the cast as a permanent figure in the P.O. Vincent podcast. So every Thursday we go watch a movie. We give you the review. Right now we're just going to be doing live shows on Twitch after the movie. I will put an episode in the link description where you can watch us Thursday. Tomorrow,
That is wonderful.
Every single Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you could, just for the show, if you're listening on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you're streaming this podcast, just give us 5 stars, leave a comment, say whatever you want. You can say, fuck you, Sereny, fuck you, Jim. Just give us 5 stars. It just helps the show. It just puts us back up there in the charts, and it's good for our sponsors, good for you guys if you like the show. And we are launching our Patreon, the Jim Krenn No Restrictions. You can find us on Patreon, the Patreon app. And we have not figured out the tiers yet, but we are just going to be posting some behind-the-scenes action, the conversations we have on the ride to our shows, from our shows, which are things we're not really allowed to talk about on here.
No,
and
very
we'll
unique.
post some pictures. I'll put a picture of Jim's earwax in there. I will be posting things that you just will never see up here. And if you join and pledge, it's like $5 a month, $10. You can choose whatever you want to pay. We will give you, you could even request like topics for the show if you want. If you're like pitching in $10 a month, you can be like, I want to hear you guys talk about more of your
whatever.
jokes.
Yeah, absolutely.
more
Whatever.
of
Yeah,
your-
whatever theme, right?
Yeah, anything you want. And then, we'll talk to you through that channel, and it'll be private, just between us. That's why it's called Patreon.
It's a little club.
Yeah. So check that out. I'll put that in the link description, and tell us what you want to hear. And I hope you guys pledge. That'd be great. Thanks.
So I could like get in touch with you guys when you're doing a movie review and
Yeah.
be like some, crazy
That's for
fan.
us, though.
No,
That's
I mean your other show.
Oh, that,
Am
yes.
I allowed to do that?
Yeah, if you watch on Twitch.
Oh, I'm all in.
Yeah.
I'm going to be.
Do you want to know how I upset? I shouldn't say this. I upset Josh Botter, who was on our a show a little while ago. He said, like he really wanted to watch me get undressed, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna get undressed on Twitch. Just log on in like 10 minutes. And he was like, this looks like a link to like a comedy show. I'm like, no, just hang up. And then I was like, hey, I tricked like a bunch of people. That's how I got them all to watch me. But I won't be doing that anymore because I'll be a permanent cast member on the show now, along with Vincent, another very funny comedian in Pittsburgh, Vincent DiDiano.
I cannot wait. I can't wait to see the reviews
Yeah.
of the movies.
I should have tricked you. You're so easy to trick. It's been like
I am very gullible.
nudie show.
I don't know. You know me. I'm too much Catholic guilt. I don't think I do
you
that.
just believe anything.
I'll be at 19 North in Washington, PA. Go to eventbrite.com. Eventbrite.com. Get your tickets. 19 North, Washington, PA, with Mike Wysocki, October 11th. So hope to see you guys out there. Looking forward to that show. And don't forget to get your Yinzer chocolate, Yinzer birthday cards and holiday cards. Your local Giant Eagle and Hallmark stores. And looking forward to that. And Sereny, it was a fun show, talking comedy. We've seen a lot more of Sereny stand-up in the future. And we're going to be doing, we're going to do a few stand-up themes with Pittsburgh Current. We're working on also. And I have a show coming up in the Roxy in December 13th. It's a huge show. That's December 13th, a beautiful theater, the Roxy. So going to definitely a little bit of a twist. I'm breaking the shell on my act a little bit. Going to do some singing. So it's either going to bomb or do great, but I can't wait. Either way, it'll be fun. So we'll see what happens. So that's it. That's the show. I hope you enjoyed it. Jim Krenn, No Restrictions with Sereny.